While we're on the topic of carbon credits and carbon sequestration, we recently had the opportunity to sit down with a Bayer agronomist. Tyler Williams tells us that U.S. conservation efforts from ag producers can be beneficial not only for the pocketbook, but also for the planet. We're going to talk about agriculture and sustainability now with Tyler Williams. He's an agronomist with Bayer. Tyler, we appreciate the time today.
Hey, thanks, Bryce.
There's been a big push to talk about and recognize the sustainability efforts that are already underway within agriculture and adopt some of those new practices. What can you share with our viewers about where things are at right now?
Yeah, so I think the unique thing, right, is there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of things that you hear in the news, but I think there's also a lot of opportunity. One of the things that I've worked with a long time is sustainable ag. That area can really be an opportunity for growers to not only adopt the practices, but also bring in some revenue from other things that are out there in this space. And so as an agronomist, one of the things that we focus on is the soil. If even without all of the outside opportunities, the benefits that no-till, cover crops, reduced tillage in general can do for your farm and your soil sort of outweigh, in my mind, all the other maybe revenue opportunities that might be coming at growers. So it's really about the practices. It's first, right? And then it's, all right, what sort of opportunities exist out there that might help them, whether it's revenue or resources. That's really what's I think kind of going on.
I think that area has been described as like the Wild West of agriculture right now, of trying to figure out what that looks like. I think Bayer's been working to kind of simplify that. Tell us what work's going on.
Yeah,
right now.
So the Wild West is it's probably a pretty good term, right? It's new, right? It's kind of this new space, and where does agriculture fit, right? Agriculture sort of fits as like the solution in a lot of cases, right? And so, what Bayer's done in 2020, we started the Bayer Carbon Program, kind of as a pilot project, and really looking at the carbon credits, right? Can we do a practice change, create an offset credit that can then be sold on the market? That's kind of where a lot of this has been going. And then in 2021, we expanded it, and then 2022, and then into 2023, we're also expanding that Bayer Carbon Program. And really what that is a grower comes in, they want to change a practice, they want to add cover crops, they want to switch to no-till or strip-till. We'll pay them per acre for that practice. So growers like that because then they kind of know how much money they're getting. It's not based on how much carbon they sequester. It's kind of like, all right, I know if I switch to cover crops, I can get this amount of money to kind of go to offset some of those costs of making that transition, because we know it does cost. But just a few months ago, we launched Foreground. That's sort of a broader platform, right? A broader place where growers can kind of come in and pick and choose things that they want to be involved in based off where they're at in their operation. One of the challenges with carbon credits is you need to make a practice change. Well, what if the growers, and we know a lot of them, have been doing this for a long time? It's like the 80s Farm Bill. A lot of people switched to no-till. So they've been doing that for a long time. But there are opportunities for growers that have been doing this for 20, 30 years out there that might not be eligible for carbon credits. So that's really what Foreground is about, is to kind of give them the whole big picture of resources, but also the different revenue streams that are out there that they can pick and choose what they want to do.
Let me ask you this. It's something I've heard from producers talking to them about this area. Someone's offering to pay you to implement some sort of practice here, but they want to know, where does that money go, or who's interested ultimately in providing those funds to make that switch at the producer level?
Yeah, and so there's probably lots of different places where the funds can come from, right? From like the carbon credits place, there's like certain registries that will buy the credits and they'll sell it to companies that want to offset their emissions. So a lot of companies out there will say, all right, we want to reduce our emissions by 50%. But through their own operations, there's only so much you can do, right? So a lot of times there's only so much you can reduce. You still need to produce some sort of emissions to create a product. So then if you can create a change, your money can sort of create the change from a certain practice that then sequesters carbon, pulls it out of the atmosphere. The idea is that that's adding value to them, right? So again, we've been talking about sequestering carbon for a long time with farmers because it adds value to the soil, but now also it can add value to their pocketbook a little bit too, just for some of those opportunities. So it comes from a lot of places. Kind of depends on what kind of goals and companies and what they want to do with their long-term footprint.
Who can participate in the Bayer program?
So that's a great thing about Bayer Foreground is it's for anyone, and whether you want to do no-till in 20 years or you've been doing it for 20 years, there's opportunities in there to get resources, discounts. You see what revenue streams might be available. So it's really open to anyone. That's the value, as opposed to the carbon credits is sort of that narrow place. So BayerForeground.com, anyone can go in there, sign up. It's free. Take a look at it, see if there's anything you like.
All right, Tyler, we appreciate the information. That is Tyler Williams, an agronomist with Bayer.